What if I told you that after April 7th, getting your hands on essential survival gear could become incredibly difficult? Whether it's new regulations, supply chain disruptions, or economic changes, the smart move is to prepare now while you still can. Today I'm breaking down 13 critical survival items you need to purchase before that deadline hits. And hey, if you want to stay ahead of the curve and never miss crucial preparedness information, smash that subscribe button right now. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Let's jump right into item number 1, and this is non-negotiable: water filtration systems. You can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. The problem is that most people assume they'll just boil water in an emergency. But what happens when there's no fuel or the power grid goes down? Now, a quality water filtration system like a gravity-fed filter or a portable straw filter can process thousands of gallons of contaminated water into safe drinking water. I'm talking about removing bacteria, parasites, and even viruses depending on the model you choose. The reason you need this before April 7th is that recent policy changes could affect the importation of certain filtration media and components. Prices are already creeping up, and availability is getting spotty. Don't wait until you're desperately thirsty to realize you should have grabbed one of these when you had the chance. Look for filters that handle at least 2,000 gallons, and if you can afford it, get a backup. Water is life, period. Moving on to item number 2, we need to talk about emergency food supplies with long shelf lives. Now, I'm not talking about raiding your pantry for a few cans of soup. I mean freeze-dried meals, dehydrated foods, and properly stored grains that can last 25 years or more. Here's the reality check. Food prices are already climbing, and certain preservation methods and packaging materials might face restrictions or tariffs after the deadline. Stock up on variety packs that give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. Make sure you're getting adequate calories, at least 2,000 per day per person. Calculate how many people you're preparing for and multiply that by the number of days you want to be self-sufficient. Most experts recommend at least a 3-month supply, but if you can swing 6 months or a year, even better. The beauty of freeze-dried food is that it's lightweight, compact, and you just add water. Don't forget to consider dietary restrictions and allergies in your household. This isn't about gourmet dining, it's about survival. But that doesn't mean you have to suffer through tasteless mush for months on end. Item number 3 is something people overlook until it's too late: first aid supplies and medications. Your basic drugstore first aid kit isn't going to cut it in a real emergency situation. You need trauma supplies, antibiotics if you can get them legally, pain relievers, anti-diarrheal medications, antihistamines, and prescription medications if anyone in your family depends on them. Here's the scary part. Pharmaceutical supply chains are incredibly fragile and subject to international trade agreements that could shift dramatically. If you take prescription medications, talk to your doctor right now about getting a 90-day supply instead of 30. Stock up on over-the-counter essentials while they're readily available. Include items like tourniquets, Israeli bandages, chest seals, and hemostatic gauze. These aren't just for worst-case scenarios, they're for the kinds of injuries that happen when emergency services might not be readily available. Take a wilderness first aid course if you can, because having supplies means nothing if you don't know how to use them properly. Your family's health could depend on the decisions you make right now. Number 4 on our list is portable power solutions. When the grid goes down, your phone dies, your flashlight quits, and suddenly you're cut off from information and light. Solar generators and power banks are absolute game changers. And I'm talking about units that can charge your devices multiple times, power small appliances, and recharge using solar panels. The technology has improved dramatically in recent years, and prices are actually reasonable right now. But there's talk of new tariffs on solar components and lithium batteries that could make these items significantly more expensive or harder to find after April 7th. Look for systems that offer at least 500 watt-hours of capacity, with expandable options if possible. Pair it with foldable solar panels that you can set up anywhere you have sunlight. This gives you the ability to maintain communication, preserve food in small coolers, and keep essential medical devices running. Don't underestimate how critical power becomes when you don't have it. It's one of those things you never think about until the outlet is dead and you're sitting in the dark. Let's talk about item number 5, and this is crucial for security and self-defense: Personal protection tools. Now, I'm going to be careful here because laws vary dramatically depending on where you live, but the principle remains the same. You need to be able to protect yourself and your family when law enforcement might not be available. This could mean firearms if you're legally able to own them, along with adequate ammunition and training. It could mean pepper spray, tasers, or even tactical flashlights and personal alarms. Whatever you choose, make sure it's legal in your jurisdiction and that you know how to use it safely and effectively. The reason this makes the list for before April 7th is that regulations around self-defense tools are constantly changing, and there's speculation about new restrictions coming down the pipeline. Ammunition in particular has been subject to supply issues and price fluctuations. If you're going the firearm route, don't just buy it and stick it in a closet. Get proper training, practice regularly, and teach your family about safety protocols. An untrained person with a weapon is often more dangerous to themselves than to any threat. Take this seriously. Item number 6 is often forgotten but absolutely essential. Emergency lighting and heating sources. We're talking lanterns, headlamps, flashlights, candles, and alternative heating methods. When the power goes out, especially in winter, hypothermia becomes a real threat within hours. LED lanterns with long battery life are fantastic, but also consider old-school options like oil lamps and candles that don't rely on batteries at all. For heating, portable propane heaters designed for indoor use can be lifesavers, but make sure you have proper ventilation to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. Stock up on extra fuel, whether that's propane canisters, lamp oil, or batteries. The thing is, there's regulatory talk around certain fuel storage and transportation that might affect availability. Prices on quality lighting equipment tend to spike during disaster seasons, so buying now when demand is lower makes financial sense. Think about every room in your house and how you'd navigate it in complete darkness. Then, multiply your lighting needs by at least 3 to account for battery failures and extended outages. Cold and darkness are not just uncomfortable, they're genuinely dangerous. Number 7 is all about communication devices. In an emergency, information is power. You need to know what's happening beyond your immediate area, whether help is coming, and what threats might be approaching. A hand-crank emergency radio with NOAA weather alerts is non-negotiable. These devices often include flashlights and phone charging capabilities too. But don't stop there. Consider two-way radios for communication within your group if you get separated. Some people go as far as ham radios, which require a license but offer incredible range and reliability when cell towers are down. The reason to buy before April 7th ties into supply chain concerns and potential regulatory changes around communication devices. But we've already seen shortages during major disasters, and having your equipment beforehand means you're not competing with panicked masses. Make sure any radio equipment you buy can receive multiple bands and has both battery and hand crank power options. Test everything before you need it. Nothing's worse than discovering your emergency radio doesn't work when you're in the middle of an actual emergency. Stay informed, stay connected, stay alive. Item number 8 might surprise you, but it's critical. Hygiene and sanitation supplies. When water is scarce and sewage systems fail, disease spreads incredibly fast. You need toilet paper, soap, hand sanitizer, feminine hygiene products, diapers if you have small children, and waste disposal solutions. I'm talking about portable toilets, heavy-duty garbage bags, and sanitizing chemicals. This isn't glamorous, but it's the difference between staying healthy and dealing with dysentery or cholera. Stock up on basics like toothpaste, dental floss, shampoo, and deodorant. These items maintain morale as much as health. There's psychological value in being clean even when everything else is falling apart. Why before April 7th? Because these are often the first items to disappear from store shelves during panic buying, and there are concerns about supply chain issues affecting paper products and plastics. Buy in bulk while prices are stable, calculate your family's normal usage, and multiply by the number of months you're preparing for. Add an extra 20% because stress and different living conditions often increase consumption. Yes, don't let poor sanitation become the thing that takes you down when you've prepared everything else. Number 9 is tools and repair equipment. In a prolonged emergency, things break and you need to fix them yourself. A comprehensive toolkit should include hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers, a saw, an axe, duct tape, rope, zip ties, nails, screws, and a quality multi-tool you can carry everywhere. Add in specialty items like a fire extinguisher, a pry bar, and work gloves. If you have the skills, include electrical and plumbing supplies for basic repairs. The key here is versatility. You can't predict exactly what will break or what you'll need to improvise, so having a broad range of tools gives you options. Why the urgency before April 7th? Tool prices have been climbing steadily. And then tariffs on imported steel and manufacturing could push costs even higher. Plus, quality tools often face supply constraints during economic uncertainty. Don't cheap out here. A broken tool when you desperately need it is worse than no tool at all. If you're not handy, now is the time to learn basic repair skills through YouTube videos or community classes. Knowledge weighs nothing and takes up no space in your bug-out bag. Item 10 is clothing and protective gear appropriate for your environment. This goes way beyond just having extra shirts and pants. Think layers, weather resistance, and durability. You need boots that can handle rough terrain and long distances. You need insulated clothing if you're in a cold climate, and moisture-wicking gear if you're somewhere hot. Don't forget hats, gloves. And multiple pairs of high-quality socks. Include work gloves, leather gloves for handling rough materials, and protective eyewear. If you're in an area with extreme weather, specialized gear like ponchos, thermal blankets, or cooling vests could be essential. The reason this makes the pre-April 7th list is that textile supply chains are incredibly global and vulnerable to trade disruptions. Cotton, wool, and synthetic materials all face potential price increases and availability issues. Your body's core temperature regulation is absolutely critical to survival. Hypothermia and heat stroke kill quickly. Having proper clothing isn't about comfort, it's about staying alive. Buy for the worst conditions you might face, not the average day. And make sure everything fits well. Because blisters from bad boots or chafing from poor-fitting clothes can disable you when you need to be mobile. Number 11 is navigation and signaling equipment. GPS is great until the satellites go down or your device dies. You need paper maps of your local area and any evacuation routes you might take. Include a quality compass and know how to use it. This isn't optional knowledge, it's survival critical. For signaling, get a whistle that can be heard at long distances, a signal mirror, and brightly colored fabric or tape that can mark your location for rescue. Flares are excellent if you can store them safely. Some people include smoke grenades for daytime signaling. The goal is to be found when you want to be found and to not get lost when you're trying to reach safety. And before April 7th matters here because specialized equipment like quality compasses and military-grade signaling devices often face import restrictions and availability issues. These items tend to be manufactured in limited facilities and aren't always easy to source quickly. Practice your navigation skills now while mistakes don't cost you your life. Know how to triangulate your position, how to follow a bearing, and how to read terrain features. Technology is wonderful, but it fails. Paper and basic tools don't need batteries and can't be hacked. Item 12 is cooking equipment that doesn't rely on your kitchen. Portable stoves, fuel for those stoves, mess kits, and utensils designed for outdoor use. You might have all the food in the world, but if you can't cook it, you're going to have problems. Always look for multi-fuel stoves that can run on different types of fuel so you have options. Include fire-starting materials like waterproof matches, lighters, ferro rods, and tinder. Being able to start a fire in wet conditions could save your life. Don't forget basic cookware like a pot, pan, and something to boil water in. Eating utensils should be durable metal, not disposable plastic. The urgency before April 7th relates to fuel storage regulations and potential restrictions on certain camping equipment. There's also the ongoing issue of manufacturing delays for outdoor equipment that became apparent during recent years. Prices on quality camping gear have already increased substantially. Buy tested, reliable equipment from known brands. This isn't the place to gamble on cheap knockoffs. And a stove that fails when you're trying to purify water or cook your only meal isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. Test everything at home before you need it in the field. Know how to operate your equipment in the dark and in bad weather. Finally, item 13 is cash and barter items. When electronic payment systems go down, and they will in a major emergency, you need physical currency. Keep a mix of small bills, nothing larger than 20s, because nobody will be able to make change. Include coins as well. Beyond official currency, think about barter items that hold universal value. Alcohol, tobacco, coffee, batteries, ammunition, and medical supplies all make excellent trade goods. Small denomination silver coins are also worth considering as a hedge against currency devaluation. This makes the list for before April 7th because there's increasing talk about moving toward cashless systems and potential restrictions on physical currency holdings. Banks are already limiting large cash withdrawals in some areas. Having physical assets you can trade means you're not dependent on systems that might fail. Store your cash and barter items securely and don't tell everyone you have them. Desperation makes people do things they wouldn't normally do. Diversify your holdings. Don't put everything in one hiding spot. Think about what items people will desperately need and stock extra specifically for trading. Your goal is to have options when others don't, to be able to acquire what you need even when normal commerce has broken down. So there you have it. 13 critical survival items you need to secure before April 7th. Water filtration, long-term food, medical supplies, portable power, personal protection, lighting and heating, communication devices, sanitation supplies, tools, appropriate clothing, navigation equipment, cooking gear, and cash with barter items. This isn't about paranoia, it's about being prepared for realistic scenarios that have happened before and will happen again. The difference between those who make it through emergencies and those who don't often comes down to preparation done when there was still time. You have that time right now, but it won't last forever. Make a list, set a budget, and start acquiring these items systematically. Don't try to do everything in one day, but don't procrastinate either. Yeah, every item you check off this list is one more layer of security for you and your family. If this video helped you understand what you need to do, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future preparedness content. Share this with friends and family who need to see it. The more people who are prepared, the better off all of us will be when challenges come. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay prepared. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about something that goes beyond just accumulating supplies. It's about mindset and planning. Having these 13 items is excellent, but they're only part of the equation. You need to think about where you'll store everything, how you'll access it quickly if needed, and how you'll protect it from theft or damage. Now, consider creating a home inventory spreadsheet that documents everything you've purchased, where it's located, expiration dates, and the condition of each item. This might sound tedious, but when you're stressed in an actual emergency, having organized information readily available could be the difference between effective action and panic. Store your most critical items in multiple locations. Don't keep all your water filtration in one spot, all your medical supplies in another without backup. Redundancy isn't wasteful, it's smart. If one storage location becomes inaccessible for any reason, you still have resources elsewhere. Think about your specific circumstances too. If you live in an apartment, your storage challenges are different than someone in a house. If you have kids, your needs differ from a single adult. Plus, if you have elderly parents or family members with specific health conditions, that shapes your supply list. Customize everything we've discussed to your actual situation. A generic survival checklist is a starting point, not a finish line. Take the time to honestly assess your vulnerabilities and address them specifically. Beyond physical preparation, consider the skills that will actually matter when circumstances get difficult. First aid training is worth its weight in gold. A basic wilderness first aid certification gives you practical knowledge that no amount of supplies can replace. If someone is injured and you don't know what to do, all your medical supplies become useless. Water purification requires understanding how different filtration methods work and their limitations. Food storage needs knowledge about rotation. Yet proper temperature control and nutrition planning. Navigation skills require practice with maps and compasses before you're lost in the dark trying to figure it out. Cooking on alternative stoves needs experimentation before you're hungry and frustrated trying to figure out a new device. Every skill you learn now multiplies the effectiveness of every item you've purchased. Invest in yourself through education and practice as much as you invest in gear. Take courses, watch tutorials, practice with your equipment in controlled settings. This costs you almost nothing compared to the supplies themselves, and the value is immeasurable. Your knowledge can't be lost, stolen, or damaged like physical goods. Let's also talk about the psychological and social aspects of emergency preparedness. Being prepared can actually reduce anxiety because you know you've taken reasonable steps to protect yourself and your loved ones. There's genuine peace of mind that comes from knowing you have what you need. At the same time, don't become obsessive about it. The goal is reasonable preparation for realistic scenarios, not bunker mentality that isolates you from your community. In fact, one of the best survival strategies is building genuine relationships with your neighbors and community. People who help each other through difficult times fare far better than those who try to go it alone. You don't necessarily need to tell everyone your entire preparation plan, but knowing who you can trust and who might be able to help with specific skills is valuable. A neighbor who's an electrician, a friend who's a nurse, a coworker who knows carpentry, these connections matter. Consider creating or joining a community preparedness group where people pool knowledge and resources. This isn't about sharing your supplies, it's about collective knowledge and mutual support. The most prepared individual still benefits from being part of a prepared community. One more critical point about purchasing timeline. I mentioned April 7th specifically because that's when certain policy changes take effect, but the broader principle applies year-round. Supply chain vulnerabilities are constantly evolving. The items that are reasonably priced and readily available today might not be next month. Manufacturers face ongoing challenges sourcing raw materials, shipping costs fluctuate unpredictably, and geopolitical tensions affect what's available in your local market. This doesn't mean you need to panic buy everything tomorrow, but it does mean you shouldn't procrastinate indefinitely. Create a realistic timeline for your purchases. Maybe you get water filtration and food this month, medical supplies next month, power solutions the month after that. Breaking it into manageable chunks makes it less overwhelming financially and psychologically. Set aside a specific budget and stick to it. Remember that this isn't an expense, it's an investment in your family's security and well-being. It's similar to car insurance or homeowner's insurance, except these items actually provide tangible utility even if you never need them in an emergency. You use food, you recharge devices, you maintain your home with tools. These aren't things sitting in a closet gathering dust for 10 years. As you move forward with your preparation, stay informed, but don't get consumed by fear. Follow credible sources of information about policy changes, supply chain issues, and genuine threats. Ignore fear-mongering and sensationalism. The goal is rational preparation based on realistic assessment, not paranoia. Balance your preparedness efforts with living your life. Spend time with family and friends. Pursue your hobbies. Enjoy the present moment. Preparation is important, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your mental health or relationships. You're building resilience and security, not preparing for the end of the world. Most likely, you'll never need these supplies for a genuine emergency, but you'll use many of these items in everyday life, and you'll sleep better knowing you're ready for whatever comes. Remember, preparedness is a journey, not a destination. Even after you've gathered these 13 categories of items, there's always more you can learn and more you can improve. The nice part is that once you've established your baseline supplies, you shift into maintenance mode. Rotate your food, replace batteries, update your first aid kit, practice your skills periodically. It becomes part of your normal routine rather than an overwhelming project. And the confidence that comes from knowing you're prepared is worth far more than the money you spend. If you found this video valuable and it motivated you to take action toward preparedness, please hit that subscribe button. More videos are coming on specific topics within survival and emergency preparedness. We'll dive deeper into water purification methods, food storage techniques, power system options, and countless other practical subjects. You won't want to miss those detailed breakdowns. Share this video with people in your life who need to hear this message. The more people who take reasonable preparation seriously, the stronger our communities become. Drop a comment below, telling us what item from this list you're planning to tackle first. Your comment might inspire someone else to get started. Until next time, stay prepared, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next